Hi, everyone. My name is Tiffany Harrison, and I am the head counselor at Milton High School, and I will be sharing the 12th grade information night presentation with you. If you were not able to come on Tuesday, August 22nd for the live presentation, this is everything that was shared in that presentation. On the agenda, we had a few introductions. We will also talk about graduation as it pertains to credits and calculating your student's GPA. We will talk about testing with the SAT and ACT. We'll talk about how to apply to college, and we will also talk about the role of Naviance, how to request teacher and counselor letters of recommendation, and how to request transcripts. We'll talk about financial aid, Hope Zell Miller scholarships, and merit versus need-based aid. And then we will also talk about other post-secondary options if college is not for your student. So we'll touch on military, workforce, study abroad, and gap year. First and foremost, if you're not sure who your student counselor is, this is the list of counselor caseloads. So I am, again, Mrs. Harrison. I'm the head counselor. I take care of all of the duties for the counseling department. I also am the dual enrollment coordinator. So if your student does dual enrollment courses, they work with me. It's mostly juniors and seniors, but there are a handful of very responsible 10th graders who participate in dual enrollment. My office is located in Suite 1340. Mrs. Lehman has students with the last names A through COR. She is located in Suite 1360. Ms. Hoaglander has students with the last names COS through HOK, and she is located in Suite 1340. Ms. Bartley has students with the last names HOL through MC, and she is located in Suite 1360. Ms. Rhodes has students with the last names MD through SAN, and she is located in Suite 1340. Ms. Wilson has students with the last names SAO through Z, and she is located in Suite 1360. If you're not familiar with the counseling website, I highly recommend saving this website somewhere, bookmark it on your Google Chrome bar or tab it in your phone. This is a resource that we will use very often. Other than the website, we consistently send information out through the Eagle Update. If you're not signed up for the Eagle Update, please sign up for that as well. That is linked in a QR code later on in this presentation, and then you can also click on that on the Milton Counseling website. If you have not updated your email address in Infinite Campus to receive IC Messenger emails, I highly encourage you to update your email address there as well. All of the information, deadlines, anything that comes through the counseling department that has an effect on your student is going to be shared in 3 places. It's always on the counseling website, it is always in the Eagle Update, and we always send a message through Infinite Campus Messenger. With 2,000 students in our building, we are not able to send an email student by student, so we definitely rely on you signing up to be on the receiving end of these messages because these are the best methods for us to share this information on such a large scale. If you are not familiar with graduation requirements, students have to earn a total of 23 credits, 4 language arts, 4 science, 4 math, 3 social studies, 3 credits in the category of world language, career tech, and or fine arts. Students need 4 additional elective courses, and then they need a total of 1 credit of health and physical education, which is their personal fitness class. Many students opt to waive out of personal fitness. That process has moved digital. There are no more paper personal fitness waivers. That form is acting a little bit funny, and I'm working on getting that corrected. That's a county form, so I'm not quite sure why it's glitching, but if your student is having issues completing the personal fitness waiver online, that's normal right now. I'm working on it. Once that's corrected, I will send out a message in IC Messenger letting everyone know the form is up and fully functional again. But until then, just hang tight. If your student is interested in participating at a 4-year college, they do need 2 consecutive years of the same world language. So, if your student wants to go to Chattahoochee Tech, Lanier Tech, Gwinnett Tech, those are 2-year technical colleges, which means they do not have to get the 2 years of world language. And then you also don't need 2 years of world language to graduate high school. That is just a qualifying thing that students need if they want to go to a 4-year college. Some courses count towards graduation requirements, but they might not be recognized as core credits by colleges. You can always check this by viewing the USG Staying on Course document. That is the University System of Georgia. That shows all of the courses that are approved for University System of Georgia schools. A couple of classes where we might hit that snag are AP Research Life Science, if your student took that prior to this year, or taking AP Seminar ELA. Those classes will count towards graduation requirements in those respective areas. But if your student is applying to a school in Idaho, that school might see AP Seminar ELA on there and think, oh, we don't accept that as an English credit, and you need 4 English credits to go here, but we are only counting 3 of yours. That would result in your student not getting the opportunity to go to that college. So we do share with students to make sure you're researching your colleges and what credits they accept. These classes are great. There is nothing wrong with these courses. It's just completely dependent on if a college chooses to accept that as an English or a science or not. The best thing you can do is just call the college directly or send them an email directly to get confirmation if that course is accepted or not. We also encourage families to track their graduation status as the counselors do. So we have fine-tuned our graduation status report, better known as a tracking sheet. It's a little bit more clear. We have a box per half credit instead of sharing a box with a full credit. If you have one of the old versions, you can compare the two and kind of see what we did to make the changes. We also needed to update the math section because the state math courses have changed. So accelerated track has gone. That's not a thing anymore. Now there's only an on-level track and an honors track. So you can complete a track sheet on your own time. We have a printable track sheet located on the Milton Counseling website under academic advisement and then under the graduation requirements page. You can print an unofficial transcript through Infinite Campus at any time. If you're not familiar with this, you just log into your Infinite Campus account, select Documents on the left side, and then scroll all the way to the bottom and you can select an unofficial FCS transcript. If you are planning on attending a 4-year college in Georgia and you want to be eligible for the Hope or Zell Miller Scholarship, then we highly encourage you to monitor your Hope rigor courses. You need 4 of those by the time you graduate. That is not 4 per year, that's just 4 total in your time in high school. We'll talk more about those courses a little bit later in the presentation. But first, we'll talk about calculating your GPA. So Fulton County uses a 100-point scale. We have core GPAs, which are a GPA that is calculated using only core classes. That's your English, math, science, social studies, and world language. There's a cumulative GPA, which includes all grades from all years of high school. There is a weighted GPA, which includes the honors points that you're given if you take an honors, AP, or dual enrollment class. If you take honors 9th lit, at the end of that class, you do get 7 points added to your final grade. When you do a GPA with those weighted classes, that's a weighted GPA. Some colleges, like UGA, specifically request that we send a transcript with only unweighted grades. So that 9th lit honors that you have a 92 on your transcript for, UGA is actually going to be pulling an 85 because that's the raw score before the weight. That's also how Hope Scholarship calculates GPA. They actually do a cumulative core unweighted GPA. You can access that GPA on the Georgia Futures website, go to shortcuts, and then go to Your Hope GPA. Your default reporting GPA should be the cumulative weighted numeric average unless the application requests otherwise. So we encourage students, do not take anything off of your GPA. Don't eliminate any electives. Don't eliminate any honors points. Don't touch your GPA. Send it to colleges in the way that it's given to you. Schools like UGA ask for a cumulative unweighted GPA or an unweighted transcript, and counselors can also access and send those for your students so that they don't have to do any calculations on their side. Please do not recalculate to a 4.0 scale for your applications. Although I know that it's tempting to see where your student lies on a 4.0 scale, and you will see a lot of colleges report that students who have an average of a blank will get into their college. If your student makes a mistake in their calculation and it's too high, it doesn't look good for your student to be over-reporting. And then if they make a calculation that is too low, that's not going to help them because then they're kind of underselling themselves. So we encourage you to use just the 100-point scale GPA. The college will slice and dice this GPA and calculate it however they want to based on their own parameters. So I would just kind of stay out of working the numbers in that aspect. Fulton County also does not rank their students. So when you're doing applications, you will select does not rank or no ranking. We don't do percentiles. So there's always a section that says my county or my school does not do this. This actually helps your student because we do have a highly competitive population. So, the top half of our freshman class might have an A cumulative numeric average. Doesn't do your student any good for us to share that they're 372nd in their class and they have a 92 cumulative numeric average. So we don't want your student to look worse than they actually are, and ranking does not help them at a school like ours. As far as testing, if your student has not taken an SAT or an ACT and plans to apply to a four-year college that is not test optional, they should definitely sign up for one. The SAT is signed up through the College Board website, and the ACT is signed up for through the actstudent.org website. There are free test prep resources. You can access those resources through the College Board or ACT website. We have some resources linked on the counseling website. You can use Appleruth. They hold test prep classes for both the SAT and ACT, and Khan Academy also has resources available for students. Many schools have returned to SAT and ACT required for admissions, so make sure you are checking the admissions page for your school of interest to see if you need to send test scores or not. If they're test optional and your scores are good, then by all means send those so that they can help give you a better application. But if you're a student who's not a strong test taker, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If there is a college you're interested in that's test optional, don't send your scores. Just make sure that you're filling in that gap elsewhere to where you can say, I've done a ton of community service, or I've held a part-time job and played sports and been a part of XYZ clubs. You'll want to kind of offset not including test scores somewhere else in your application, but not submitting test scores will not break your application. We do have testing fee waivers in both counseling suites, and you can also apply for a Common App waiver because Common Application has a fee waiver to just submit applications through their portal. So if you meet the financial requirements to get a fee waiver, you can speak directly with your assigned counselor. That's a confidential conversation and or meeting, but your student must be either enrolled in the free and reduced lunch program. Your annual family income must fall within a certain set of guidelines. You are enrolled in federal, state, or local program that aids low-income families. If you receive public assistance, if you live in subsidized housing, foster home, homeless, ward of the state, or an orphan. If you meet one of those requirements, then you are eligible for a fee waiver. We will ask for proof of whatever requirement you meet to make sure that we are only giving these fee waivers to families who have a genuine financial need, because we get a very limited amount of these waivers. Moving on to applying to college, here are some of the hot topics that we share with students. Campus tours, make sure that you schedule your visit through the college admissions office or through their website. It's a great opportunity to see more of their campus. We do encourage students to schedule their visit at a time when school is in full session. So avoid visiting over spring break or Thanksgiving break or the holiday break. We know that these students go on vacations, they go to see their families. So if you are visiting on a break when the campus is not as lively, your student might not get an actual accurate view of what that college is like when it's in full swing. So your student receives 5 to 6 excused absences for college visits. that allows your student to actually go visit these schools when they are in full operation, and they can get a good idea of what they're looking at and if that's a good fit for them. A lot of colleges, especially out of state, offer virtual campus tours. So if you're looking at a school across the country that you know you don't have time or the financial means to go and visit, you can sign up for one of their virtual campus tours. They have virtual college representative visits, and they can share additional information about that school in a virtual platform. We do college visits at Milton. Ours are virtual, and they take place on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday every week during advisement. And you can sign up for those through Navient. That allows your student to not interrupt any academic class time. They don't have to get a pass to go anywhere. They're not going to be stopped. They can just pop in some headphones and pull up their student device, and they can watch the rep visit and see a small presentation from those colleges. If you have any students who have come through Milton in the last 3 years, we are no longer using Navient to send college application materials. That is specifically transcripts and letters of recommendation. That platform was not working great for counselors, so we have gone back to using the platform that the student applies in to send those materials. But what Navient is great for is research. There are a ton of great college and career research tools on there. We highly encourage students to spend some time doing research on that platform. It has some great scattergrams where students can see where they fall in line with other students at Milton who are applying to certain colleges. And then we complete our county mandated Bridgeville activities through Navient. That's where your student will do their senior brag sheet if they want a letter of recommendation. So that platform does not go away. We are just no longer using it to send college materials. If your student needs a letter of recommendation, they can request those from teachers, counselors, mentors, employers, coaches, anyone who knows your student really well and can share more about why your student would be a good fit for a certain institution is a good person that you can ask for a letter from. The senior brag sheet is required if your student wants a letter from a counselor. All senior brag sheets are due in Navient by September 16th. Those are already assigned to students. They're open. They've been open since the first day of school. So if your student has not completed that, please encourage them to do so. And then lastly, when your students are applying to college and sharing their extracurriculars, make sure that they are staying involved, that they're organizing that by section. They are including leadership positions and awards, and please don't abbreviate. We all know that NHS stands for National Honor Society, but an out-of-state school that's very small that might not have a chapter of this might not know what NHS stands for. And I would hate for your student to not get credit for their club or their hard work just because they didn't take the extra time to type out the title of that activity. So when is the best time to apply to college? There are a few different options that I want to talk through, and the best time to apply is when your student is ready. And I know that sounds like a silly answer, but if you or your student know that you need that extra 6 A's in your GPA before you can apply, that you need your grades from this fall of your senior year to go into your GPA to boost it a little bit, then maybe your student is looking at a better fit for regular decision application. Most regular decision deadlines are in the spring. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. That just means your student can put their best foot forward at the regular decision deadline. If your student has their grades exactly where they want them, if they have all of their activities and extracurriculars in line, they've done everything, they are ready to go, then you can start looking at these schools who are on a rolling cycle, which means they accept applications year round. They could do early action, which is non-binding. That just means your student is ready to apply early and they can go in and they can submit that application by the early deadline. Early action means that your student can get in early, but they don't actually have to go there. And our most popular early action deadlines are UGA's, which is October 15th. Georgia Tech has 2 early action deadlines. Their first one is October 16th, and their second one is November 1st. And then other colleges might have honors colleges or priority scholarship deadlines. Georgia State is one of our most populars. That is November 15th, but highly encourage you and or your student to go through, look at those websites, check those application deadlines for scholarships and honors colleges because they do tend to differ from the actual deadlines for the college application. And I would hate for your student to miss out on a really exciting $40,000 scholarship opportunity because they were so stuck on the deadline that they missed these out-of-state scholarship deadlines that fall a little bit earlier. There's also early decision, which I help students remember this by saying early decision means you are definitely going. That is a binding contract where if your student says they are going to go and signs the early decision form, if they change their mind at any point in time, that college could hold you liable for paying the first year of college tuition because you said you would go there no matter what. So early decision requires an extra step on the counselor side where we have to sign off and say, yes, we approve that this student is applying early decision. We will always call your student in to make sure that this is not a mistake, because that can be a very detrimental situation for a student if they accidentally apply early decision and it's to a college that they don't want to go to. So we always double check those, but be very conscious of the items that you're clicking when you're choosing your application cycle. When it comes time to apply, you'll complete the application. Sometimes there is a fee. If you need a fee waiver, again, we can help with some of those. We just need proof of financial need. Some colleges will want SAT and ACT scores. All of them will want an official transcript. Some of them might want a teacher letter. Some of them might want a counselor letter. Some of them might want one of each of those letters. And then some colleges will want an essay. Again, when you're sending those application materials, we are no longer using Naviance as the platform to send letters of recommendations or transcripts. So make sure you add your counselor as the recommender and request that the transcripts come directly through your application platform. So that can be through the Common application, it can be through the Coalition app, Georgia Futures, the Common Black College application. If your student is applying directly to the institution, so that means that you are on the University of Florida website and you're applying through their website, then your student can use Scrib Order to fulfill those transcript and document requests. Again, I want to share that Naviance has amazing college and career research tools. We still use that platform for the research and we still use it for Bridgeville. These are 3 resources that we provide for students. So we have hard copies in both of the counseling suites, and then we also have digital copies of this on the counseling website. So these are the processes for requesting teacher and counselor letter of recommendations. And then we have a Fast Facts for Seniors sheet, which answers some of our most frequently asked questions that you see on college applications, such as what is the senior class size? What is our school CEEB code? What is my class rank? How do I report GPA? Those are all things that are answered on here. So please have your student pick one of these up in the suites. Obviously, accessing these online is a little bit more helpful because all of these blue links will take you directly to these websites. I love a good hyperdoc, so I like to pump those out and make sure that people have access to as much as possible. If your student is a college athlete or wants to be a college athlete and play a D1 or D2 sport, they need to make sure they're registered with the NCAA Eligibility Clearinghouse. They need to send their test scores to the NCAA Clearinghouse. You order those directly from the testing website. So if you are sending SAT scores, you have to request those and order them on the College Board website. If you are requesting and sending ACT scores, you have to send those from the ACT website. Counselors cannot send test scores on your behalf. We're a third party. So a lot of colleges or no colleges accept third-party testing documents. Your student and you are responsible for reviewing the NCAA requirements as they might differ from the Fulton County graduation requirements. And then also be aware that the NCAA does not accept courses taken via credit recovery. So if your child has failed a course and wants to be a college athlete through NCAA, those failed courses cannot be made up through credit recovery. They have to be done in summer school, taken again through Fulton Virtual School, or they can reseat in the class in person, but they cannot use credit recovery as a method of recovering failed credit. Moving on to financial aid. So
Here's what I found.
if you think that you do not qualify for financial aid, you should still apply. You never know what new scholarships or grants are coming out, and the best way to find out is to complete your FAFSA and then see what you're eligible for. If you make a lot of money, if your family income is higher, then you will likely not get as much free money, but they will still offer you student loans if you need them. If the lower your family income, the more money you will be offered in grants and scholarships, and they'll probably still offer you student loans that you can pay back. They'll pretty much give you as much money as you're willing to accept, so be aware of that slippery slope and only take as much as you need. The earliest that you can send your financial aid paperwork normally is October 1st of your senior year. This year, they're updating the FAFSA form to simplify it a little bit, so it's delayed and it will not open until December this year for students who are entering college for the 24-25 school year. Next year, it will return to the October 1st deadline, but while they are making those changes, it's just delayed this year. Merit-based versus need-based aid. So merit-based aid is money that your students earn through their accomplishments. So this can be through it can be through clubs that they've started or something special that pertains to them. It can be for earning really high grades. Need-based is earned through financial circumstances. So that is, my family makes an annual amount of $30,000 a year. We really need help paying for college, and that's the difference between those two types of aid. And very popular is the Georgia's HOPE program. It stands for Helping Outstanding Pupils Educationally. This is unique to Georgia. It's a great opportunity. We find a lot of people move to the state of Georgia their students' junior year because they want to take advantage of the amazing college financial opportunities. I want to walk through some of the differences between the Hope and Zell Miller scholarships and the Hope and Zell Miller grants. So the scholarships are for four-year colleges and the grants are for two-year or technical colleges. The Hope Scholarship, you have to have a 3.0 unweighted core GPA when you graduate, and you have to have 4 rigorous courses by the time you graduate. If you meet those requirements, they will pay a stipend amount towards your tuition at a private school, and then they'll pay a percentage amount of tuition for public schools. The Zell Miller Scholarship has a little bit higher stakes because you earn higher amount of money. You have to have a 3.7 unweighted core GPA, and you have to have the 4 rigor course requirement. You also have to earn a 1,201 sitting of the SAT or a 26 and 1 sitting of the ACT. But if you meet these requirements and you keep your GPA up in college, it will pay the full amount of your tuition for public schools, and you'll get a higher stipend to go towards private schools. The grants are a little bit easier to acquire. You don't have to have a specific GPA while you're in high school to earn them. You also don't have to have a certain amount of rigor courses. You also don't have to get those 2 years of world language. You just have to maintain a certain GPA at checkpoints when you're in college to either earn the percentage of tuition for the Hope grant or the full tuition for the Zell Miller grant. So that is the biggest difference between these 4 options. Most of our students are striving for the Zell Miller Scholarship because they want to go to a 4-year school and they want the full amount of tuition paid in Georgia. A lot of our students qualify for HOPE. They're just very competitive, so make sure you're paying attention to all of the requirements for the specific scholarship or grant that you're trying to earn. I have updated our Hope and Zell Miller rigor course list specific to Milton, so this is available on our counseling website. These are all of the courses that we offer at Milton that qualify as a Hope or Zell Miller rigor course. Some of these courses are discontinued because of the math changes, but they will still count towards your students' rigor courses as our students phase out of high school who have taken some of these classes. So an example of that would be if your student took Accelerated Geometry B, Algebra 2, we no longer have that course, but it still counts as a rigor course for them. Algebra 2, no longer have that. Accelerated Pre-Calculus, and then GSE Pre-Calculus. And then I've added our new courses that are available as of this year and moving forward. One thing to note, AP Pre-Calculus has not been approved as a Hope rigor course, so please do not include that in there. It's also on that sheet. The QR code at the bottom takes you to the comprehensive list of classes. that are approved as Hope Rigor courses for the state of Georgia. Some high schools offer classes that we don't, so obviously those might be a rigor course for those students. So if you transferred in from another school and you think you might have other classes that Milton doesn't have that count as a rigor course, you can check that comprehensive list. I like to call the Hope GPA the skinny, ugly GPA because when students see it, they kind of panic. It's only their English, math, science, social studies, and world language. There are no electives. They also take off all of the weight from the honors, AP, and dual enrollment courses. So they're really looking at a very shaved down version of their GPA. This GPA does not go to colleges. It's not seen by colleges. It is a qualifying GPA for a scholarship program. It's easy to get them confused because there are so many variations of a GPA floating around. All you need to know is that the Georgia Student Finance Commission will calculate this GPA, and they only use this calculation to see if your student qualifies to earn the Hope or the Zell Miller scholarships. Middle school courses are not used when calculating the Hope or Zell Miller GPA, and middle school courses cannot be used as one of your 4 rigor courses. They only take courses that are taken from 9th through 12th grade. Lastly, they do not round your GPA. So if your student has a 2.9999, they will not round that up to a 3.0. And it makes sense because you're trying to qualify for a good chunk of free money. They're not going to help you out by rounding it up so that you get that for free. They cut that off, and it's a very, very strict cutoff. You can always check your Hope GPA on georgiafutures.org. You can also check your rigor credits on georgiafutures.org. So you can pull up a, I guess, what would you call it? A Hope transcript or a Zell Miller transcript, and it will show you those qualifying items. If you're missing anything, or if you feel like you're missing anything, please reach out to your assigned counselor so that you can have that conversation. And if you are missing a course, then we can put you in one. If college is not your jam and you just know that you don't have any plans on going to a 4-year college, that is totally fine. We encourage students to pursue what makes them happy. Sometimes college is not the answer right out the gate, and here are a few other options that your students can take part in. They can take a gap year and travel abroad, volunteer, do mission work, join the Peace Corps. They can enter trade work. They could do construction. They could be an electrician, work in HVAC, do metal work, or be a mechanic. They can go to a 2-year technical school, and there's a lot of money to be made in those. And I don't know anyone who plans on living in a house without electricity or heating and air. So those are things that we know are not going away. And if you have a student who you know just can't sit still, working an office job is just never going to be a good fit for them, you can push them towards some of these items where they can really move. They can really operate with their hands a lot and move around and don't feel like they're stuck in one space. And there's plenty of money to be made in those industries. Your student could do a certificate program. They could go be an esthetician. They could work in the cosmetology field. They could be a medical assistant or a dental assistant. And then the military is always an option. We will offer an ASVAB in the fall and in the spring. There's an opportunity for paid college later on if they want to start in the military and get free college later. And then there's also the opportunity to travel the world. And lastly, I really, really want to send home the fact that mental health matters. Preparing for the future is important. All of these items are important, but over and above everything else, your mental health is the most important. So please consider your child's workload, or if you're a student listening to this, consider your workload and cut where necessary. Nothing good comes from having a breakdown over the amount of stress that you put on yourself. So all of these things will work out. If you don't get into that school that you've been dreaming of, that's okay. You can start at a smaller school and you can transfer in. Sometimes roadblocks lead us into a path that we hadn't thought of before, or a path that's even better for us. So I encourage you to share those kind of coping mechanisms when dealing with disappointment with your students, because it's not the end of the world. There are still so many opportunities available for your students. It's very easy to get fixated and to place all of your worth on achieving a certain item, but it doesn't always work out that way. We encourage students to take care of themselves, especially senior year. Spend quality time with family, friends, pets. do community service, exercise, read, cook, play your video games, do your art, practice healthy coping mechanisms. No student is alone in feeling stressed this time of year. They are not alone in feeling overwhelmed or panicking or maybe getting very anxious over leaving home. The same feelings that you feel over your student leaving home are the same things that they're feeling, whether they say it or not. It is very daunting to know that in a few short months, your children are going to be moving out on their own and they're going to enter the world. So it's stressful for all parties. Take walks, meditate, do yoga, practice breath work. At the very least, reach out if you feel like you are overwhelmed with anything in the process, and please encourage your student to lean on each other and lean on us. We are there for them. We're there to help them. We hear hundreds and hundreds of these stories. Everyone is feeling the same thing, and we are here to support you. Here are a list of dates that I would like you to save specific to our seniors. So today, August 23rd, all of the counselors delivered classroom guidance. So your seniors received this presentation in their social studies classes. We went through AP Microeconomics, Economics, AP Government, AP COGO, and then our on-level American Government and Econ classes. If your student is taking one of these classes online, please share this presentation with them so that they have a little bit of an understanding, or encourage them to book a meeting with their counselor to make sure that they are up to date with a lot of these items. On the 29th, Peachtree College Planning will be holding a virtual College 101 session, and that is available for sign up through the Eagle Update already. A very popular virtual tour that comes around is the Georgia Peach State Tour. There are 3 virtual sessions that you can sign up for, and those have representatives who speak from UGA, Georgia Tech, Georgia State, and Augusta. On September 1st, counselors begin writing letters of recommendation, and we begin fulfilling transcript requests. On September 14th, we have a really exciting college fair taking place at Milton. So we'll have a large college fair taking place in the cafeteria. We are hoping to secure a financial aid presentation in the auditorium. And then the most exciting part for me is case studies. So this is something we haven't done here before, and we are kind of piloting this to see how it's received. The case studies will have 15 different classrooms so that you'll be sitting in a small group environment. You will be presented with a few different applications that actual students submitted to various colleges, and you will get to talk live with a college representative through those applications to say, hey, here's what this student had to offer. Do you think they got in? Do you think they didn't get in? Why do you think they got in or didn't get in? And you can actually flesh out actual college applications from students and see what kinds of things are coming through to them. At the very end of the case study, your representative will reveal, like, hey, I'm from Brown, or hey, I'm from Penn State. These are real applications we got to our college. They share that at the end so that you don't badger them with questions the whole time about their college, but it's a really great way to get an insider scoop on how applications are reviewed in the admissions office, because that's something that none of us are a part of. It's all a mystery to us on how exactly are you flipping through these applications? Why do you choose some students and not others? So we highly, highly encourage you to sign up for that. We will be inviting a couple of other neighboring high schools, so we expect it to be a busy night, and we do expect those to fill up. September 16th is the deadline to complete the senior brag sheet and Navient's tasks, and this is a required task if your student wants a counselor letter at any point during the school year. So please have your student sit down, complete their brag sheet. It's only 10 questions. It's only talking about them. It's not a quiz. But having that on file will help us if we ever need to write a letter for your student. And then on October 17th, we will have a college financial aid, scholarships and financial aid virtual presentation by Peachtree College Planning. We do have other presentations that will be helpful for other grade levels, and we will be sharing those once we've secured the spaces. We'll share those through the Eagle Update, Infinite Campus, and on the counseling website. So there are more opportunities for our partnership presentations for your younger students if you have any here. And lastly, we encourage you again, stay connected. Follow us on Twitter. Well, I guess now it's called X, but I'm going to long live the Twitter. We also have an Instagram account that we're very active on. Miss Rhodes runs all of our socials and she does a great job. This presentation will be posted on the counseling website, but we also have a YouTube channel where we post these presentations. And the last QR code is to sign up for the Eagle update. So please connect with us, sign up for any kind of notices that come out through the counseling office because we do share them. Just make sure you are on the receiving end. And lastly, this was for last night, but we did have 3 counselors available. If you have specific or private counselor questions, please reach out to your assigned counselor. I appreciate you if you made it this far in the presentation. It is a lot of information. It is dry. It is overwhelming. At any point in time, if you have questions, please reach out. We are here to help. We've shuffled hundreds and hundreds of students through this process. So as overwhelming and uncomfortable as it might feel, we have it down. They're not going to miss anything. As long as your students are staying organized, keeping up with their dates and following the deadlines, everything is going to be okay, and we are here to help. And that is all. So thank you so much for being here with me today. If you have questions, please reach out. Otherwise, have a wonderful afternoon.